Do you ever feel like you're losing yourself, drowning in despair next to someone? Perhaps your soul is being slowly poisoned without you even realizing it. In this video, we will expose 11 cunning tactics that narcissists use to manipulate and control you. You will be equipped with the knowledge to recognize the warning signs and break free from this toxic cycle. I will provide you with the essential tools to protect yourself and regain control of your life. You will understand how they operate and be able to confidently confront them. When facing an overt narcissist, someone arrogant and haughty, it's easy to understand their behavior. They may act superior to mask their deep-seated insecurity, the fear of appearing weak. It's a facade of ego. But when dealing with a covert narcissist, things get more complicated. They still possess a sense of superiority, but it's expressed subtly, drawing many of us in unknowingly. That's why relationships with covert narcissists can last for years, even decades. Only when we step back and closely observe their behavior, and even our own, can we recognize the painful truth. Just as we can't perceive the full extent of a tornado while caught in its center, we often fail to see the true nature of a toxic relationship when we're in the midst of it. We're consumed by the emotional whirlwind, the chaos and constant anxiety, unaware of the damage being inflicted. We merely try to survive each moment, resolve each conflict, and do everything right in the present. We fail to realize that our inability to move forward, to find true happiness, is a sign of covert narcissistic manipulation. Only when we break free from that tornado, looking back from a safe distance, can we see the whole picture clearly. That's when we recognize the signs of manipulation and abuse. So if you're questioning your relationship, join me as we explore 11 common tactics employed by narcissists. You'll gain the knowledge to identify the red flags and escape this toxic cycle. I'll guide you, providing the necessary tools to protect yourself and regain control of your life. You'll understand their methods and be able to confront them with confidence. And finally, I'll share the secret to ensuring narcissists can never hurt you again. Subscribe now to embark on your journey towards liberation from psychological manipulation. It's time to live a life of freedom and happiness. But before we continue, I want you to reaffirm your strength. Write clearly in the comments below, I am unbreakable. So number 1, be cautious of those who appear shy. Covert narcissists often hide behind a reserved exterior, which can easily be mistaken for shyness or introversion. However, over time, their true nature is gradually revealed. This reticence is not a sign of humility, but rather a calculated strategy to quietly observe, analyze, and judge others. They do not display arrogance in an obvious way. Instead, they employ passive-aggressive behavior to affirm their sense of superiority. For example, you might encounter a colleague who always maintains a calm demeanor, speaks little, and seems to avoid attention. You might think they lack confidence or simply prefer to work in silence. But gradually, you notice that they frequently make sarcastic remarks or pass judgment on others' achievements, sometimes through comments that seem casual but carry hidden meanings. They never confront directly, but always use words to attack subtly, making others feel uneasy or uncomfortable. In personal relationships, such as when you are dating someone who appears reserved and timid, you may initially find their shyness charming, seeing it as a sign of sensitivity and thoughtfulness. However, over time, you begin to sense passive-aggressive responses. They might become coldly silent when you do something they dislike, or use silence as a tool to punish or manipulate your emotions. The shyness you once thought was part of their personality turns out to be a mask, concealing a more controlling and difficult nature. However, It's important to recognize that not all shy or introverted people are covert narcissists. Many genuinely humble and reserved individuals are not interested in judging or competing with others. They may feel uncomfortable in social situations or have hidden fears. Their shyness does not carry any malice or judgment. We need to learn how to distinguish between these two types of people and develop the ability not to let others' behaviors affect us. According to the principles of Stoicism, we must accept that we cannot control how others behave, but we can fully control our own reactions. Instead of getting caught up in the whirlpool of judgment and conflict, focus on your values and actions, maintaining calmness and steadfastness within your soul. So number 2, be cautious of the love-bombing tactic. In relationships with those who exhibit covert narcissistic tendencies, one commonly used tactic to gain your trust and sympathy is love bombing. This is the initial stage where they idealize you excessively, accompanied by heart-wrenching stories to create a deep emotional connection. They shower you with constant praise, seeing you as someone exceptional, kind, and irreplaceable. You may feel like you are the only person they can connect with, that they have never met anyone like you before. Sweet words and intense romantic gestures are expressed passionately, all aimed at making you feel special and loved. However, behind these words and actions lies a less noble intention. One of the methods they use to strengthen this connection is by sharing painful experiences with their ex-partner. They might say things like, "My ex was so abusive, I had to walk on eggshells all the time. She was crazy," or "He was crazy." This can create a tragic picture of their past, making you see them as a pitiable victim and gradually drawing you into feeling sympathy and wanting to help them. They might say, "Oh, you're amazing. You seem so loyal. You would never cheat on me like my ex did." But in reality, the ex never cheated. They were the one who cheated. Through these emotional stories, they not only want you to feel sorry for them, but also create a stark contrast between you and the ex, elevating your value in their eyes. However, over time, you will begin to recognize the lies hidden behind these tragic stories. These lies are often cleverly disguised, but as you begin to reflect and reevaluate the behaviors and the relationship, you will notice inconsistencies. The tragic stories they once told gradually lose their authenticity, and you realize that what you have heard from them was merely a part of a tactic to keep you around, ensuring that you continue to provide them with emotional supply. The idealization during the love-bombing phase, combined with these tragic tales, is ultimately nothing more than a stage act designed to manipulate your emotions. According to Stoic philosophy, it is crucial to keep a clear mind and not be swayed by the sweet words and tragic stories of others. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoics, said that we should not let external factors affect our mood and decisions. For those who use love bombing as a tactic, you need to keep your mind steady and avoid falling into the trap of their flattery or tragic stories. Look at the truth and their actual behavior, not what they want you to believe. Number 3, they always seem to be in a pitiful situation. A subtle sign I want you to recognize when dealing with a covert narcissist is their craving for attention through negative circumstances rather than demanding attention in an overtly arrogant way. This is the type of person who always portrays themselves as suffering from something. Someone who, no matter what is happening, always has some situation that places them in a difficult position. It could be health problems, financial difficulties, or family issues. You might hear that they go to the salon 3 times a week, but when you meet them, they always play the victim, constantly complaining about their illnesses or hardships. This might lead you to wonder, what's going on? Mary just told me she saw you at the salon getting your hair done. And the response will be, oh, I had to get my hair done because I woke up with a terrible stomachache this morning. What you will notice when interacting with such people is a heavy and exhausting feeling. Every conversation seems to revolve around them, and their life full of challenges. They always have a story about sickness. They're sick, their children are sick, or their spouse is sick. All of it is aimed at garnering sympathy or attention from others. However, what's interesting is that when someone in their life actually faces serious health issues, they don't show genuine concern. Instead, they become irritated. Rather than displaying sincere care or grief, they act as if they are personally wronged because their mother has breast cancer, their cousin is hospitalized, their best friend has an aneurysm, or their spouse is battling cancer. In such cases, the covert narcissist is not pleased with real crises occurring in others' lives because those events divert attention away from them. They may feel angry or resentful about the sickness of those around them, not because they are concerned for their well-being, but because they are no longer the center of the story. If their mother has cancer, they don't feel sad about her illness, but rather upset that they have to deal with the attention being shifted. If their cousin is sick, what bothers them is that their cousin is getting more attention. They might complain about having to take care of others, as if it's a burden, not a loving responsibility. This craving for attention through negative circumstances is a subtle strategy of the covert narcissist to keep the focus on themselves without appearing overtly arrogant. They use negative stories to manipulate others' emotions, making the listener feel guilty if they don't show sympathy or concern. This not only makes the relationship complex and burdensome, but also leads to psychological exhaustion for those who frequently interact with them. Therefore, it is crucial to recognize and understand this type of behavior to avoid getting caught in the cycle of negativity and covert narcissism they create. Number 4. They are indifferent to everything that happens to you. When dealing with a covert narcissist, you will notice a distinct indifference to what happens to you, especially when it involves emotional experiences. They may listen to your story, but only with a facade of politeness without truly caring or sharing. All your efforts to express your feelings, seek empathy, or ask for advice often meet with apathy. Instead of comforting or supporting you, they may quickly change the subject or make insensitive remarks as if your emotions are not worthy of their attention. For example, imagine you have just had a terrible day at work, unfair criticism from your boss, conflicts with colleagues, and a general feeling of emotional distress. You turn to the covert narcissist for sympathy, hoping for some understanding. However, when you start sharing, they might interrupt with a statement like, "Oh, that's not so bad. You know, I had to face an even worse day today," and then begin talking about their own story. They aren't really listening to you, but are merely waiting for the opportunity to turn the conversation back to themselves. Another example could be when you are going through the pain of loss, such as losing a loved one. Instead of showing empathy, they might react by talking about their own unpleasant experience with loss, diminishing your grief and turning it into an opportunity to talk about themselves. For instance, you share your feelings of sorrow and loss, and they respond with something like, "I know how you feel, but at least you still have your family. When my father passed away, I had to handle everything on my own." They not only diminish the significance of your emotions, but also make you feel like you are in a competition of who has suffered more. This indifference also becomes evident when you achieve success or experience joy. You might expect congratulations, recognition, or at least a positive reaction. Instead, you receive a cold response, perhaps even tinged with envy. For example, when you share good news about a new job opportunity, they might say, "Oh, that's great, but I had an even better opportunity." Or when you joyfully share an achievement, they might respond indifferently, "That's not a big deal," or even downplay your accomplishment by pointing out its negative aspects. These behaviors reveal a lack of genuine interest in your life and feelings. The covert narcissist does not want you to be the center of attention, and they consistently try to shift every conversation back to themselves. This not only makes you feel undervalued, but also creates a sense of isolation when you realize that this person does not truly care about you or what you are going through. Therefore, when you recognize this indifference, it is essential to understand that it is not an unconscious lack of concern, but a deliberate tactic to keep the focus on themselves. They do not want to engage with your emotions because that would mean spending time and attention on others rather than themselves. As a result, they choose to be indifferent, distant, and redirect the conversation to ensure they remain the center of attention. Number 5, pay attention to their outbursts. Ultimately, you won't immediately notice the signs of a covert narcissist, as they usually hide them behind a mask of shyness, selflessness, or reserve. However, over time, when you look back, you will see moments when they reveal their true nature through passive-aggressive behavior. These moments may come as sudden outbursts that leave you feeling confused and wondering, where did that come from? For example, they might unexpectedly slam their hand on a table, hit a cabinet, or angrily rant about how terribly others treat them. This behavior seems inconsistent with the image they always portray, that of a shy, timid, and seemingly very selfless person. It is as if their mask has slipped, and you will realize that in many instances this person has genuinely shown deep-seated anger, only to then find ways to justify their behavior. When they justify themselves, they often blame others. "She is so stupid. He is awful. They treat me so unfairly. They don't know how great I am. I don't deserve this." Such statements reflect a belief that everyone around them is inferior, which is why they face criticism. For a covert narcissist, if you criticize them, you unknowingly touch upon their biggest vulnerability, their fragile self-esteem and sensitive ego. When they feel threatened, challenged, or criticized, you suddenly become a threat. That is when the lion within them awakens, and they retaliate fiercely to protect their weaknesses and vulnerabilities. This is the whole purpose of the mask they wear, a facade that conceals their true nature. When dealing with a covert narcissist, it is not uncommon to witness their emotional outbursts, especially when they are confronted or criticized by others. These outbursts often reveal their true nature: jealousy, arrogance, and a host of negative emotions they try to hide. For example, when a colleague gets promoted while they remain in the same position, instead of congratulating their colleague, they might make bitter remarks saying, "This company doesn't know how to appreciate talent," or "That's just unfair favoritism." Similarly, if they receive negative feedback from a boss or criticism from someone in the group, they do not accept these comments as constructive feedback. Instead, they might explode saying, "Man, you have no idea how hard I've worked," or "People are just jealous of me because I'm better than them." These outbursts do not just display anger. They also reveal insecurity, an inflated sense of superiority, and a desperate need for validation. This is also evident in personal relationships. For instance, when a covert narcissist realizes their partner may be gradually becoming more successful or happier, they cannot bear not being the center of attention. They will create conflicts, find every way to undermine their partner, or blame them for trivial things. If their partner points out the irrationality in their behavior, they will explode, saying, "You don't know what I've had to endure to get here," or "No one understands me." These behaviors show that their outbursts are actually a way to protect themselves from feeling threatened. In the mind of a covert narcissist, any criticism or disapproval is seen as a personal attack. They lack the capacity to endure any perceived disrespect and always feel the need to retaliate strongly to protect their fragile ego. As a result, those around them often feel awkward, exhausted, and as if they are walking on eggshells, fearing that any word or action could trigger an outburst from the covert narcissist. Over time, you may come to realize that despite their outward appearance of shyness and kindness, they always harbor simmering anger, just waiting for an opportunity to erupt and defend their fragile sense of self. So we've explored some important signs to help you recognize a narcissist, especially a covert one. They may hide their true nature behind a mask of shyness, kindness, or altruism, but over time, their passive-aggressive behavior, lack of empathy for others, and sudden emotional outbursts will gradually reveal themselves. Recognizing a narcissist may not be easy, but it is the first step to protecting yourself from the manipulation and emotional harm they can cause. Trust your instincts. Pay attention to subtle signs, and don't hesitate to set clear boundaries when necessary. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Always stay confident and calm in every situation.